And we are live. Welcome back to another week at DroneDJ. We've got some new drones on the table for you. We also have some older ones to be discontinued and a news on the Australian drone show falling into the river. Let's start with the new drone from DJI, which actually has been really quiet,
That
before
was
before release and even after release.
yeah, that did well. It's agricultural release. That's like the DJ Agricultural did it. So like they're pretty. I guess their teams are pretty easy for pretty harder on leaks to get out compared to their consumer brand. So they just all of a sudden Monday released that they're going to be announcing a drone today. And it was at 10 p.m. Eastern, I think, United States, which was a weird time. To have that kind
Well,
of
I
go
guess
out.
based on time zone, it just tells you this wasn't their targeted market.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't meant for us. It was like 2 p.m. Beijing time, I think it was, which makes kind of sense if it's like if agriculture has a lot of drones and a lot of business over in Asia, so it makes sense if they have it around that time over there. So hopefully maybe we'll come here one day, but I guess I'm not really the use case for it unless we start that drone agriculture spraying business with
Yes. Well, we said
multispectral
we were going
side
to have
business.
crowdfunding of Kirk's, agriculture drone business. So this can definitely be added to the arsenal.
I can add
Um,
this to it because I already know how to fly the
So I
Mavic
have
3.
to
I don't
say,
need to
for
get a
agriculture,
M30.
I was kind of a geek when I was a kid. Love reading all the sci-fi stories. And when I saw the agriculture with multispectral, because this one specifically is multispectral on the
Mhm.
Mavic 3, it's more sci-fi like. Like it sounds really cool if you think about the application. Because on the multispectrals, if you look at the four multispectral sensors on the top, multispectral is not seeing your typical images,
Mhm.
right? Multispectral is seeing the spectrum on the ground level. So if you read the description, it's saying that this can capture detailed crop growth information. And not
Yeah.
only for agriculture, this is also for natural resources management. So depending on how you're calibrating your spectrum, right, of your multispectral sensor, you can, theoretically speaking, you can detect, scientific information on any Earth surface, like sometimes even a little deeper. Essentially, that's what spectrum can do for you. So if you know how to calibrate it and you know how to process it, you can rate, let's say, crop types. You can rate their growth rate. You can rate, are they ready to be harvested? Do they need, irrigation? Do they need pesticide? And when it comes to natural resources, you can even rate different species on the ground level. You can count, animal numbers. Literally with multispectral, you can do a lot. There's multispectral, hyperspectral, and the whole scientific realm of things that I don't fully understand. But it sounds really cool. So imagine
Yeah.
you fly a drone and you can analyze all the Earth's surface information. That sounds pretty cool, right?
It does, and it's all on the Mavic 3, so like it's super easy to use. But it's kind of like I guess they're trying to turn the Phantom 4. I guess they're really just discontinuing the Phantom lineup and just move it
Right.
all into the Mavic lineup because this
Well,
had
this
Phantom had multi-spectrum, and
Phantom,
that's kind of
yes,
like
there
what
was
they've
one
pushed.
Phantom version with multispectral.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, nothing is as important as what comes after. But so everything sounds cool, but you've really got to have the knowledge on how to process it. That was always the challenge with multispectral and hyperspectral, is calibrating the sensors, having really good processing power and being able to use that data, process it for analytics. That's always the challenge. From the sound of this on the multispectral, DJI, it's saying that these drones accompany app-based feature. So if you looked at the Mavic 3 Enterprise,
Mhm.
I did use the Terra and I did use the Flight Hub too. So I have to say, because from the previous Enterprise lineup, I didn't enjoy using the DJI apps too much. But on the new Enterprise lineup, I actually really enjoyed using the Flight Hub, the Pilot 2, and DJI Terra. Um, so from the sound of it, it sounds like DJI is actually providing, a already pre-calibrated and predefined process to narrow down the multispectral on this is a specific workflow right? You can capture, you can process, and get data right away. So I haven't tested it yet. So I guess, I'm really looking to share that information. If that is what they've done, then they're really solving one of the major issues of using multispectral. It's workflow, right? So if they come in really focused to say, hey, stop looking at everything that multispectral can do, here's a set of multispectral cameras with calibrated, with giving you the app, and all you're looking at is these specific agriculture information. Then from a user perspective, I'd say, wow, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, this is it's interesting to see this stuff come to the Mavic 3. I feel like it's kind of weird to see just new things plop on the front of the Mavic 3. Like they just have spare sensors and just throw it on top, and we'll see what we can throw in here and just keep throwing things on this drone, and it keeps doing pretty good. And the flight time kind of stays the same, so which is impressive.
Yeah, and they're only suspecting the price range right now because that's not public. Where is the price? Yes, it's suspecting. I mean, multispectral, let me tell you, I remember there was one research project we did with National Research Council years and years back. And back then we only had RGB sensor. It was really rare to even talk about thermal sensor. And so they were saying that they use multispectral sensors or hyperspectral sensors on larger, airplane, like actual airplanes. And they were talking about price range in the 6 figures for a multispectral camera. Now, $3,500 on Mavic 3
Back then,
multispectral.
it's a steal.
Yeah, I have to say, even if it does a fraction of what the 6-figure camera can do, but if it can really narrow down on a niche workflow and really do it, then it's providing that user experience solution, right?
Yeah, and I know coming from the space side, there's already satellites that are doing similar things like this, but this is more of a kind of like that's more like a macro type of things, like how a
the
big
level
field
of
does
details
this can
will be,
do.
yeah,
This is where you can look in.
Very different.
Like I saw a video where they're going through and they're just like, this is one small section of crop that needs more water. The rest of it is all fine, but this one section needs more irrigation, which was something you can't get with satellites.
Well, as we know, the challenge is today's world. The challenge is not enough data. The challenge is too much data, right?
How do you process
if you ask me, I don't care what a satellite can see really at the global level. I can't, I'm not at the level to worry about global scale. I care about the couple of acres, in front of my field. If we start doing experimental farming next year and do research, that's really the section I care about. It's great to see the global scale, but it doesn't matter to me that much.
Yeah, I think that the satellite stuff is more like for okay, your region. How is your region acting throughout this drought or something like that? So and this is more for your own field.
Yeah, call me realistic. I just like to start small. From what I can control, from what I can see and I can influence, that's what really matters to me.
Yep.
The other interesting fact with the Mavic 3 multispectral is DJI said this is to be limited to select countries and regions, which we don't really have much of that details yet. I guess we'll have to see,
wait and see for it to come on sale or show up on their website.
Yeah.
See if it's even available in the US.
Because right now it only says, one sec, where do you buy? So there isn't, you can only contact DJI to see if you can acquire this. And one of the things one of our students told us is they bought, let's say the M3T before it was shipping, because DJI started shipping in different regions before they started shipping to North America. So they were able to actually buy the M3T from another country and then ship it here, so they got it before everybody else. With global market, I mean, if you really want something like this and if you have the channels, I'm sure you can buy it in the countries that they're selling it and ship it to here.
Yep. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see when the thing comes out.
Yes. Now, just before Christmas time, we're seeing a new potential drone hitting the FCC database. As you know, every time FCC database is a signal for us, because FCC database doesn't lie. You've got to
I was just thinking the same thing. FCC database don't lie.
If you look at this, then we're potentially seeing a new Mini 3. And we talked about this back when Mini 3 Pro was released. The reason it was named the Mini 3 Pro was because DJI was planning, on just a regular Mini 3 lineup. Definitely price-wise, we know it's going to be cheaper than Mini 3 Pro. We just don't know the exact camera features, right? Is it removing obstacle avoidance? Are they removing or reducing some of the camera features? We don't know. So I guess that's the part we're gonna see what gets cut from the features and how much of a price drop it really is.
Yeah, I know for the Mavic 3 Classic, I was a little against that. I'm way more for this, the Mini 3 that come out and kind of come at a lower price point and replace possibly the Mini 2 and Mini SE lineup. Maybe probably the Mini SE. I don't think it'll be that cheap, but it just makes sense because the Mini 3 Pro is a great drone, but it is a little bit out of the price range for a lot of casual people who just want to have.
Who just want to have the first drone, right?
I just want a drone that just goes up. I don't need like it to be, all fancy and everything like that. I just want like a nice drone that does some stuff. And so I think this will be actually hit a market way better than I think the Mavic 3 Classic will.
I guess we shall see. If you ask me, I'm guessing the price is going to be between the Mini 2 and the Mini 3 Pro right now. So somewhere, in the middle around there.
Yeah, that's how most prices have gone. They've gone up higher than what the previous version was slightly with inflation. So,
and then with this, the question is DJI still going to be selling the Mini 2? I guess, again, my guess
it's on sale.
It is on sale, so my guess is they're getting rid of old stock, right, before the new drone.
The Mini SE is the one that is interesting to see how long is that going to stick around, or if they're going to come try to replace that. Maybe a Mini SE 2. I don't know. Stick with the old design because that's kind of the perfect like first drone.
Maybe as many sensors as they have in the factory.
Yeah,
maybe they're just trying to get rid of them all.
Yep.
So we'll keep posted on the new Mini 3 potentially coming out, hopefully before Christmas, and we'll see what happens with the pricing and the features. I saw this one just yesterday, and I guess this is one of the really important, signals for drone light shows. We're seeing a lot more drone light shows this year. People are giving several reasons. One is, comparing to traditional fireworks, it's definitely more environmental, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can reuse it at multiple times versus fireworks. You set it off once and then it's done. And then arguably, it's safer because it could fall out of the sky as we're seeing here, right? So there's always a safety factor. But the fact is, this didn't hurt anyone. I think that's an important signal that they observed all the safety requirements. They've set safety boundaries. So although some of the drones fell out of the sky, as we see the red circles, those are the ones that are basically falling out of the sky. So you're looking at $2,000 each drone, and they lost about 50 drones from there. That's a pricey.
I was laughing when I watched this video, but I was also crying at the same time in pain. Like it was one of those, like it was kind of funny to see.
And it's not the only one. So we talked about the one that happened in China a little while ago as well. And the show producer came out to say they suspect some kind of foul play about jamming the signal. Like if you've seen those guns that people were saying, anti-drone guns, right? That you can jam the signal. So they were suspecting that there's some signal jamming. So it would be interesting to see what actually happened here. It's only
because there would be a full-on investigation because that's a lot of money to lose.
Plus, I mean, it's only 50 drones out of how many? Does it say how many in total?
500.
500. So they're saying that typically, one in every, typically a couple of them is expected, right, as expendables from every show. So 50 is definitely out of the scale. But if it is a signal jamming, then I don't think it's only going to be 50 of them falling out of the sky, because last time, as we saw, almost everything fell out of the sky. So it will be interesting to see what kind of glitch actually caused this.
Yeah, the video is like it is like slightly funny to watch as like things that happen. All of a sudden, a drone falls out, and like there's like they have like spares. It looked like that were like coming back up to replace the ones that were falling, and there weren't. Yeah, they tweet. I just gotta go to the link to the tweet. I don't think the tweet isn't loading for some reason. But it was like it looked like some were like flying back up to replace the ones that were falling, and like but like it'd be like 2 would go up and like 4 would come down, like. like it's a little, but also then you realize that like every single one that falls into the ocean or the river is
The
like
river looks like a bug.
$2,000 just down the
Yeah,
drain.
I mean, looks like a bug if you ask me.
Yeah, it looks like there's. I mean, it definitely like wasn't. It also looked like one would fall and like it would hit another one, and then like it would bring more down. I don't know. It
Is anyone fishing? I mean, I guess if it's a river, it
Mhm.
floats. I guess there's no way of recovering those.
I mean, I guess you could probably dive down there. I bet they will just sink to the bottom, and then
They're really
uh,
light. The
yeah,
light
I guess
blue
they're
ones,
super light, so
they're
maybe they
really
might.
light.
If they float, yeah, they'll probably be down the river. I'm sure someone recovered something afterwards. I'm sure someone was smart and got on a boat,
If
little
it's
kayak
Perth,
out there, and just like collecting drones.
yeah, if it's Perth, I wonder it's a salt river. Is it next to the ocean? I guess I'm terrible with
Oh, that would
that.
make sense. That would connect that. That probably would be close to
If it's
connect to the
fresh,
river
if it's
or the
fresh
ocean.
water, like if your drone falls into fresh water and you get it out in time and dry it properly, chances are it can still work. But if it's
Mhm.
salt water, then it
You're
will be
done.
it'll be very
Yeah,
challenging.
unless you get it out within like seconds, you're not doing well,
And you
or
have to
it's like
shut off
all sealed
everything
up.
right away. Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty much everything's fried.
They should design a rescue drone with some kind of net, so if they start, because they were falling pretty slow. So if they start seeing drones falling, they should have like a rescue one to go out and catch it.
And catch it, yeah, or just put like just have like 4 drones below the whole thing with nets flying the entire time.
Well, there's that to go as well. So last piece of news we have is actually from Autel. I mean, we've been waiting for the Autel Evo 3 for a while. I guess before
Mhm,
we're seeing Evo 3, we're seeing the news from Autel to say they're stopping support for some Evo 2 drones. So this is for previous gen Evo 2, right? Because they had
mhm.
V1, V2, and I guess V3 for
Yeah,
Evo 2.
V3 came out like a few months ago, I think, not that long ago.
Let's see. It says they will sales and maintenance support will be available through these days and then ending on May 2023 or October 2024. It seems a little confusing how this is.
Yeah, it's not the most clearest release in the world of what do they mean by sale. I thought the sales are already they weren't selling them anymore. But I think maybe they mean sales of like replacement equipment. Like if you like a lot of I mean the V1, the V3, like a lot of them are the same. I think the biggest difference is like the chipset was changed. So like the payloads, like your camera payloads can be replaced between the two. Um, Propellers are most likely the same, and all like the minor things are the same. But I guess if you have internal hardware that might break or need replacement, that might not be available to purchase anymore. Um, that would make sense to me. But if it just means sales, like I guess the sales have already finished. Like once they came with the V3, they stopped selling the V2. So
Can I just say I remember one of the branding classes I took back in university. Um, the professor was saying he used to work for one of the larger TV brands, and he said for branding purposes, they would they would service TVs that customers sent back from 80s,
mhm,
early 90s, and they would do everything they can to try to repair that because it was brand powered. And for
yeah,
customers to want to keep that drone or not drone TV or product for that long, it actually really shows how much they're bound to the product. Because once
I
you've had the product,
think.
like if you think about it, if you use it, especially like your camera, if you use it for different occasions, it becomes part of your life. Like you're attached to it, right?
Mhm.
So I wonder why would they stop maintenance and support for it. So that means if someone breaks their drone and really still want to use it, then they won't be able to send it back to have it serviced. If we look at DJI, remember earlier this year we looked at the whole list from DJI to say they stop service the list of drones, and we're
Mhm.
talking about drones from back in like Phantom 2, like Wukong, M system, like we're talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago from when those drones were being produced. But Autel 2 is not really that old as a drone.
Yeah,
So
the V2 came out in 2021. Like
yeah.
this is not like an old drone. I mean, I guess you have till 2024. That's like 2 more years of service. Um, I feel
Plus,
like
I mean, we're not talking about free service. We're talking about if you crashed your drone, right? Like this is being
Yeah.
sent back and you're paying for the repairs. Again, just from a branding perspective, if they're trying to build a bond between their products and their customers, if you ask me, I don't think this is a good branding move.
No, I remember there was a Super Bowl commercial. I think it was a Porsche commercial where the guy brought in his like 1950 tractor that Porsche made back in the day, and like still got support for it, and then like traded it in for like a a supercar. But yeah, like it's a little weird to have like this is like a new-ish drone, but like it's already kind of being obsolete, not obsolete, but like forced to be obsolete, like support wise, so soon. And I still want to get a hand on one of them. I've never flown an Evo 2, but I've heard it's a pretty good drone.
I've heard good feedback from people who fly it, especially those
Mhm.
who just says, look, I can't, for whatever reason, I can't work with DJI drones, then really this is the
Mhm.
only alternative. Otherwise, you go for Skydio if you're really into that AI, you know, AI
Yeah,
services
it's really
globally
the Autel's kind of the leader in like just competing against DJI,
on the camera
um,
drones. Yeah.
just on like a camera drone. Like Skydio competes, but like they have their own like it's not really like they're not really competing. They're kind of like they're there for a really niche market.
I hope they take it as constructive criticism. As I said
Yeah.
many times, we really want to see, a competition, a real competition for DJI. We want to see another brand do well and give all the drone pilots, a good alternative. But
We need an Android to our iOS.
yes, yeah. Just,
Yeah.
please make some right decisions. And what
And right now
happened
the
to
best we have is like a Bixby.
Yeah, what happened to Evo 3? We're still waiting for Evo 3. We saw the FCC filing a couple of months ago. Showing
I think
what's
that
happening.
was Evo's V3, Evo 2 V3. I think that's what
V3,
I
right.
think that's what it was, which is a really confusing thing when you're like leading up to possibly having Evo 3 and all of a sudden you come out with the Evo 2 V3. We're like, "Oh my gosh, it's coming." Oh wait, never mind. It's just the Evo 2 V3. Which I think the reason why one reason why they did that was because of the chip shortage. They're like kind of like they're trying to upgrade it slowly,
Yeah,
but they don't really have the ability, I guess, to do a Evo 3 yet. I
I
don't know.
know. Well, you know what? Let me just stop right there. We did do a Black Friday special video this week. And then from December, me and Kirk are actually going to try to bring out different topics rather than just covering news. So if you've got anything you'd like to know about how to, for drones or specific drone components or accessories you'd like us to review, please leave them in the comments down below. And then from December, we hope to bring you some fresh new content. That's everything we've got for you this week, and we'll see you back here next Friday. Have a nice weekend, everyone.